Hey, welcome to the Leadership Lab. My name is John Boone. I'm joined by my co host, Virginia Espina LeBoy.
Hey,
Hi, Virginia.
everybody.
So, today we'll be covering another important topic to leaders, entrepreneurs, and I think to people in general, which is isolation, right? And how does it happen? In our previous episodes, we covered how leadership clarity prevents bad hires, scaling without structure, breaking the cycle of cash flow stress, breaking the bottleneck, and decision fatigue. Those were great topics. We invite you to go back and listen to those. So let's get on with it, Virginia. Let's talk about leadership isolation. Why are leaders isolated?
That's such an important question, John. Leadership can become isolating because responsibility increases, but safe spaces for honest conversation decrease. Leaders often feel they cannot fully share their thoughts with their team, their clients, or even their family. So they carry decisions, pressure, and uncertainty all by themselves, alone. And over time, that isolation begins to affect how they think, how they decide, and how they lead. And one truth I've seen consistently is this: leadership doesn't become difficult because of complexity alone. It becomes difficult when leaders process their complexity alone.
So that begs the question, why does it happen? Why do leaders face their complexity alone?
Well, John, there are a few reasons. First, responsibility. Leaders feel the weight of outcomes and they don't want to burn others. Um, so it is not just about the work, it's about the flow of
Sure.
information. Second, perception. They believe they need to appear strong, confident, and certain at all
Yeah,
times.
like that's possible.
Yeah. Third, lack of peer level conversations. Many leaders don't have people around them who truly understand the level they are operating at. It's really important to surround yourself or have um, or have a peer group that you're able to bounce off ideas.
That's the whole point of the Leadership Lab, right?
Absolutely. Either coaches or just people that are willing to sit and listen to you and discuss some of these challenges at your
And
level.
having that peer group, right? Folks that are actually dealing with the same type of things that you're dealing with your business, they're maybe dealing with the same things and they figure something out that maybe you don't know. And likewise, you can share something with them. And by gleaning information from one another, we all become a little bit stronger, right?
Absolutely. That is, a great community to support you so that isolation does not sit in. Fourth, trust concerns. They're not always sure where they can speak openly without consequences, and they don't want to send their team into panic. Um,
So what happens?
what happens is this: the higher leaders grow, the fewer places they feel safe to think out loud.
So I'm sure there are some warning signs that they can look out for that would help them to preempt, right? This loneliness, which actually is an isolation loneliness, right? And not having the feedback and the collaborative efforts that can happen in teams.
Absolutely. There are some clear indicators that can let you see that you're walking into that silo effect. Leaders process major decisions alone. They hesitate to share challenges or uncertainty. They feel mentally overloaded but have no outlet. They lack honest feedback. It's kind of like the yes man echo. Everybody starts saying yes, 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 and you realize no one brings you real problems. And even then, surrounded by people, they feel
Well, I
disconnected.
think the first bullet was they hesitate to share their challenges and uncertainty.
Right.
Well, it's an obvious question, but why do they do that?
Well, many times they feel that since they're surrounded, number one, they're afraid that their people would panic, because they're not at the same level of understanding. They do not see the whole picture. And sometimes they may even be tempted to say they wouldn't get it. I mean, everything that I'm going through, they would not be able to get it. So then you stop connecting, you stop sharing.
Right. The longer it takes for you to share, the more catching up you feel you need to do, which then discourages you from
Exactly.
having the conversations because you have to cut out too much time and there's so much to fill in that you just end up burying it.
Exactly. Exactly. And I often say if you're carrying everything internally, your leadership has become too isolated. It's too much of a heavy internal weight to carry.
So there's internal weight, but there's also a hidden cost as well, right? What impact does isolation have on leadership and the organization?
It has a significant impact. Decision quality begins to decline because perspective is limited. Stress increases because everything is internalized. Growth slows because ideas are not challenged or refined. And leaders begin to feel emotionally drained. And here's a deeper issue: isolation narrows perspective, and narrow perspective weakens leadership.
Perspective is very important. I remember when working on complex projects, especially technical projects, that when I would speak to my team, I always needed to think about what is the uh, current temperature of the room, number one, but also what are the skills that are in the room so that I could gauge the information that I was going to bring to them in a way that they could actually use.
Definitely, that is a great way to overcome uh, this challenge.
I would often say we're going to take a different view of this, a different perspective. We're going to look at it from 10,000 feet up, and then we're going to start pulling down further, and we're going to be able to begin to see the details, but also see how the connections are made between those details, which we often miss when we're too close
Yes,
to what's actually going on.
that gives you insight, tremendous insight when you're able to do that, change perspectives. Yeah.
So there's a leadership shift. So, how can leaders begin to move out of isolation?
Well, I kind of say that it's a journey from hero to human. I like to frame this as a shift towards intentional connection. First, you need to seek peer level conversations, people who understand your level of responsibility. Second, create safe spaces, environments where honesty and growth are encouraged. Third, invite perspective. Allow others to challenge your thinking. It's very refreshing to do that. We were talking about perspectives. And fourth, process decisions out loud, not just internally.
Okay, so let me just go ahead and just put those bullets out so folks that are listening can write this down. So, first one is peer level conversations. Second one, create safe spaces. Third, invite perspective. And fourth, process decisions out loud, not just internally. Good stuff.
Yes, because leadership growth accelerates in conversation. And I often remind leaders great leaders don't grow in isolation, they grow in intentional relationships.
Absolutely. So, real experience layer, right? Have you seen the impact of this in your own leadership journey or with others?
Yes, many times. As a matter of fact, it continues to be a challenge and it continues to grow to the point that I think I have seen enterprises just fall. I have seen leaders carry so much internally that it begins to affect their confidence and their clarity. And I've also seen what happens when they step into the right environment where
Mm-hmm.
they can think out loud, be challenged, and be supported.
You're not speaking up, you're not talking about what's going on, so now they're afraid to talk about it as well. So you
Absolutely.
created an environment that is
Yes,
counterproductive.
absolutely. That is when clarity increases, decisions improve, and leadership becomes lighter because they're no longer carrying everything alone. Very important.
Team effort, important. All right, so let's give a closing reflection for our listeners today. What is one question leaders can reflect on this week?
Well, I would encourage leaders to ask, where am I leading in isolation when I should be leading in conversation? That question can open the door to very meaningful change.
I've got to repeat that. Where am I leading in isolation when I should be leading in conversation? Thank you for sharing with us today, Virginia. I know this is going to be helpful to folks. Let's see, next week is episode 7, and we will be talking about
Fear of the next level. Amazing. I mean, that is what we dream of, but success creates pressure. And the pain point sounds like, if we grow more, can I handle it? I don't want to lose control. So join us because it is a very interesting topic.
wonderful. Thank you for joining. Thank you for listening. Share this with somebody who might find this helpful. Bye now.
Bye,